My brother just married the girl who bullied me in high school. He walked in grinning like he'd won the lottery, one hand wrapped around someone's waist. Everyone, this is Brianna, my fiancé. I looked up from my plate and the fork slipped from my fingers. Same blonde hair, same sharp cheekbones, same smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She turned toward me, and for a second our gazes locked. Recognition flashed across her face before she smoothed it away like dust off a shelf. Nice to meet you all, she said, her voice warm and honeyed. My mother rushed over to hug her. My father stood to shake her hand. My brother kept beaming, oblivious, radiating joy I hadn't seen in him since he got his first car. Brianna's eyes slid back to me. And you must be his little sister. He talks about you all the time. Little sister. Like I was still 14 and small enough to shove into lockers. Yeah, I managed. That's me. She tilted her head, studying me with that same faux innocent curiosity she used to deploy before tearing someone apart. Have we met before? You look so familiar. My throat tightened. She knew exactly who I was. I don't think so, I said. She smiled wider. Maybe in another life. My brother pulled out a chair for her, and she sat across from me, already chatting with my mother about wedding plans. Her laugh rang out, light and musical, and I was 15 again, standing in the hallway while that same laugh echoed behind me after she'd taped a free hug sign to my back with the word desperate scrawled underneath. We're thinking spring, Brianna said, gesturing with her left hand so the diamond caught the light. Nothing too big, just close family and friends. My mother clapped her hands together. Oh, that sounds perfect. I pushed food around my plate, trying to focus on the conversation, but her voice kept pulling me back. The way she said adorable when talking about the venue. She'd used that same word when I wore my grandmother's hand-me-down sweater to school, loud enough for everyone in the cafeteria to hear. What do you think? My brother was looking at me expectant. I blinked. About what? About Brianna being a bridesmaid coordinator. She wants to make sure everyone feels included. Brianna leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. I just think it's so important that everyone has a role, you know? Even the shy ones. The shy ones. She used to call me that in front of teachers, making it sound like a diagnosis. Sounds great, I said. My father asked about her job. She worked in marketing now, she said. Loved connecting with people, building relationships. She'd always been good at reading a room. I remembered her reading me, figuring out exactly what would hurt most. The fake modeling agency flyer she slipped into my locker junior year, complete with a phone number and audition time. I'd shown up to an empty warehouse downtown, dressed in my best clothes, while half the senior class waited around the corner with cameras. Are you okay? My brother's voice cut through the memory. Just tired, I said. Long day. Brianna reached across the table and patted my hand. Her touch was cold. You should take care of yourself. Stress shows. She pulled back and I saw it then. The flash of satisfaction in her eyes. She knew I remembered. She knew I wouldn't say anything. And she was right. I excused myself before dessert, mumbling something about an early meeting. My brother walked me to the door, still glowing. Isn't she amazing? He said. I can't believe I found her. I forced a smile. Yeah, she's something. He hugged me, and I stood there with my arms at my sides, watching over his shoulder as Brianna laughed at something my mother said. She glanced toward the doorway and caught my eye. Then she winked. I drove home, gripping the steering wheel hard enough to leave marks in my palms. My phone buzzed twice before I made it to my apartment. Both texts from my brother. She loved meeting you. Can't wait for you two to be sisters. I set the phone face down on the counter and stared at it until my vision blurred. The next morning, my mother called while I was getting ready for work. Isn't she lovely? She said before I could say hello. So poised. And the way she looks at your brother, you can just tell she adores him. Yeah, I said, fumbling with my coffee mug. She asked about you, actually. Wanted to know what you liked, what kind of things you were into. She really wants to include you in the planning. My stomach turned. That's nice of her. I gave her your number. I hope that's okay. She mentioned maybe getting lunch, just the two of you. Bonding before the wedding. The mug slipped and coffee splashed across the counter. I have to go, Mom. Work thing. Oh, of course, sweetheart. We'll talk later. I cleaned up the spill with shaking hands. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hi, it's Brianna. Your mom gave me your info. Would love to grab coffee sometime and get to know my future sister-in-law better. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I feel like we have so much to catch up on. I deleted both messages without responding. Fine, I said, just didn't sleep well. That evening, my brother called. I almost didn't answer. Hey, did Brianna reach out to you? His voice was bright, eager. She really wants to connect. I've been busy. I know, but maybe this weekend? We're having a small engagement party at Mom and Dad's. Nothing fancy, just close family and a few friends. I don't know if I can make it. Silence stretched between us. When he spoke again, his tone had shifted. What's going on? You've been weird since dinner. I'm not weird. You barely said 2 words. You left before dessert, and now you're dodging Brianna. He paused. Do you not like her? The question hung in the air like smoke. I could tell him. Right now. 3 words, and this whole thing would crack open. It's not that, I said finally. I'm just adjusting. It's a lot. I get it. His voice softened. Big change. But she's going to be family now. I really need you two to get along. I know. So you'll come Saturday? I closed my eyes. Yeah, I'll be there. Thank you. Relief flooded his words. It means everything to me. Both of you mean everything to me. After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room until my legs went numb. Saturday arrived too fast. I changed outfits 3 times before settling on jeans and a sweater, then immediately regretted it. Too casual. Too much like the girl who used to wear her grandmother's hand-me-downs. My parents' backyard was strung with lights when I arrived. 20 or so people milled around, holding drinks and laughing. I spotted Brianna immediately. She wore a white sundress that caught the golden hour light perfectly, her hand resting on my brother's arm as she talked to his college friends. My mother intercepted me at the gate. There you are. Come on, Brianna's been asking about you. She guided me through the crowd. Brianna turned as we approached, and her face lit up with what anyone else would call genuine warmth. Finally, she pulled me into a hug that felt like being wrapped in ice. I was starting to think you were avoiding me. She laughed, and several people nearby joined in. Traffic, I said. Well, you're here now. She linked her arm through mine, steering me toward the drink table. Let me get you something. Wine? Beer? We have this amazing rosé. Water's fine. Water. She handed me a bottle, her smile never faltering. Always so practical. I bet you were the responsible one growing up. My brother's best friend Dylan wandered over. So you're the famous sister. He talks about you constantly. Does he? Brianna's grip on my arm tightened slightly. I'd love to hear some childhood stories. I'm sure you have plenty of embarrassing ones about him. A few, I said. Oh, you have to share. She guided us toward a circle of guests, keeping me anchored at her side. Everyone, this is my future sister-in-law. Isn't she sweet? Sweet, like a puppy, like something small and harmless. For the next hour, she kept me close, introducing me to people with little comments that sounded affectionate but landed like paper cuts. She's always been the quiet one. Such a homebody. I keep telling her she needs to get out more. Every time I tried to drift away, she found a reason to pull me back. A photo opportunity. Someone else who needed to meet me. Another story that required my presence. My brother floated through the party, beaming, completely unaware of the performance happening right in front of him. As the sun set, Brianna clinked her glass for attention. The crowd quieted. I just want to say thank you all for being here, she said, her voice carrying across the yard. Finding someone who truly sees you, who accepts every part of you, is so rare. She looked at my brother with eyes that glistened. I never thought I'd find this kind of love. Everyone awed. My mother dabbed at her eyes. And I'm so grateful to be joining this family. Brianna's gaze swept across the crowd and landed on me, especially to have a sister. I always wanted one growing up. Someone to share secrets with. Someone who really knows you. The applause started. My brother kissed her. People raised their glasses. She hadn't changed at all. She'd just learned that cruelty worked better when wrapped in silk and delivered with a smile. When witnesses saw warmth instead of wounds. When the target was the only one who understood what was really being said. My brother found me as I was heading to my car. Leaving already? Headache, I said. He hugged me and I could smell Brianna's perfume on his shirt. Thanks for coming. It really meant a lot to her. To both of us. I nodded against his shoulder, unable to form words. She's perfect, isn't she? He whispered. I'm the luckiest guy alive. I pulled back and looked at his face so full of happiness it hurt to see. Yeah, I said. You really are. The week after the party, Brianna texted me a photo of bridesmaid dresses. Soft pink, strapless, the kind that required confidence I'd never possessed. Thoughts? I'm thinking this for you and the other girls. I stared at the image. The dress looked expensive and delicate and utterly wrong for my body. It's pretty, I typed back. Great, I'll send you the link. They run small, so maybe order up. 3 dots appeared, just to be safe. I set my phone down and didn't pick it up for an hour. My mother invited me to lunch that Tuesday. I knew before I arrived that Brianna would be there too. They were already seated when I walked into the cafe, heads bent together over a tablet, scrolling through what looked like flower arrangements. There she is, my mother said, waving me over. We're finalizing centerpieces. What do you think of peonies versus garden roses? Either works, I said, sliding into the booth. Brianna looked up with that practiced smile. You're so easygoing. I wish I could be more like that. I'm way too type A. She laughed and touched my mother's hand. Your daughter is a breath of fresh air. No drama, no fuss. My mother beamed. She's always been that way. Never gave us a moment of trouble. I can tell. Brianna's eyes met mine across the table. The good girl. I bet teachers loved you. She made honor roll every semester, my mother said. Of course she did. Brianna turned the tablet toward me. So we're debating between these two venues for the shower. This one's closer to your parents' house, but this one has better lighting for photos. Which do you prefer? I looked at both images. They were nearly identical. The first one's fine. See? Brianna said to my mother. So agreeable. I'm lucky to have her in my corner. The waiter came and took our orders. My mother ordered a salad. Brianna ordered the same. I ordered a sandwich, and Brianna raised her eyebrows slightly. Hungry today? She said lightly. I wish I could eat like that. My dress fitting's in 3 weeks, and I'm basically living on air. You look perfect, my mother assured her. You're sweet, but the camera adds 10 pounds, and we're doing professional engagement photos next month. She sipped her water. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask if you'd be willing to help with some of the DIY decorations. I know you're not super crafty, but it would mean a lot to have family involved. Sure, I said. Wonderful. Nothing too complicated. Just some simple stuff. I'll send you instructions. She pulled out her phone and typed something quickly. There. Sent. Let me know if you have questions, though I'm sure you'll figure it out. My phone buzzed. I glanced at the message. The instructions were 8 pages long. This is going to be such a beautiful wedding, my mother said. I keep telling everyone about it. My son is marrying the most lovely girl. You're going to make me cry, Brianna said, her voice catching. I never had this growing up. My family wasn't close. This means everything to me. My mother reached across and squeezed her hand. After lunch, my mother hugged us both goodbye and headed to her car. Brianna and I stood on the sidewalk, the spring sun bright overhead. This has been nice, she said, getting to know you better. I nodded. You know, I feel like we got off to a weird start. She adjusted her purse strap. At dinner, you seemed a little standoffish. I wasn't sure if I'd done something wrong. You didn't. Good, because I really want us to be close. She tilted her head, studying me. It's funny. You remind me of some girls I knew in high school. Quiet, kept to themselves. I always wondered what they were thinking. My heart kicked against my ribs. But I'm sure you've changed a lot since then, she continued. We all have. High school feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? Yeah, I managed. Water under the bridge. She smiled and gave my arm a light squeeze. See you at the dress fitting Saturday. Don't forget to order up on that size. She walked to her car, and I stood there until she'd driven away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my apartment until 2 in the morning, then gave up and turned on the light. My moving boxes were still stacked in the closet. I'd lived here 3 years and never fully unpacked. I pulled out the one labeled high school and sat on the floor with it between my knees. Yearbooks, old assignments, a shoebox full of notes passed in class. I lifted out my senior yearbook and held it in my lap, feeling the weight of it. I hadn't opened it since graduation. The pages crackled as I turned them. There was my junior year photo, awkward smile, hair I'd tried to curl that frizzed instead. A few pages later, Brianna's photo. Perfect even then. Voted most likely to succeed, student council, debate team. I flipped toward the back where people had signed. My hands were shaking. Most of the messages were generic. Have a great summer. Keep in touch. Good luck in college. Then I found the others. I'm sorry we didn't stand up for you. You deserved better. Melissa. You didn't deserve what she did. I hope you know that. Rachel. I wish I'd been braver. I'm sorry. Chris. Page after page. Small apologies apologies in cramped handwriting. Confessions from people who'd watched and done nothing. I'd forgotten these. Or maybe I'd buried them so deep they couldn't hurt anymore. One message near the back stopped me cold. She made freshman year hell for a lot of people, but you got it the worst. I hope college is better for you. You deserve to be happy. Sam. I read it 3 times. Then I flipped back through the yearbook, looking at Brianna's clubs and activities and achievements. All that shine. All those people who'd voted for her, admired her, wanted to be near her. Nobody knew. Or maybe they did and it didn't matter. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother. Brianna said lunch went great. Thanks for making an effort. I know this is an adjustment, but it means the world to me. I set the phone down and looked at the yearbook again. At the signatures. At the truth written in ink that couldn't be erased. He had no idea who he was marrying. He saw the polished version, the woman who charmed his parents and remembered everyone's names and cried at the right moments. He didn't see the girl who'd orchestrated my humiliation like it was a sport. Who'd made me afraid to speak in class because she might be listening. Who'd convinced half our grade that I was weird, desperate, pathetic. She'd built her life on a foundation of cruelty, and now she was going to become part of my family. I thought about the dress fitting on Saturday, the shower planning, the wedding in 6 months, years of holidays and birthdays and family dinners with her smiling across the table, making her little comments, keeping me small. My brother's text glowed on the screen. I picked up my phone and started typing. We need to talk. I stared at the words for a long moment, then deleted them. Not yet. Not like this. He wouldn't believe a text. He'd need more than my word against hers. She was too good at this, too practiced. She'd twist it, make me sound jealous or unstable or unable to let go of the past. I needed him to see it himself. I closed the yearbook and held it against my chest. The apartment was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. For the first time in years, I let myself remember all of it. The fake modeling call, the rumors about me sleeping with a teacher, the photos she'd doctored and spread through the school, the laughter that followed me down hallways, the way I'd learned to make myself invisible because visibility meant pain. She thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd swallow it all down like I had back then, that I'd play the role of the sweet, agreeable sister-in-law who never caused problems. She was wrong. I opened my laptop and searched for a copy shop that did same-day scanning. Then I carefully marked the pages in the yearbook that mattered most. The signatures, the apologies, the proof that I wasn't making this up, that other people had seen what she was. My brother deserved the truth, not my version of it. The truth in black ink, written by people who had no reason to lie. I just had to find the right moment to show him. The copy shop printed 20 pages from the yearbook. I paid in cash and kept the originals in my bag. The cashier asked if I needed them bound. I said no. Saturday morning came too quickly. The bridal boutique was downtown. All white walls and champagne flutes on glass tables. My mother was already there when I arrived, seated on a velvet sofa with Brianna's maid of honor, a woman named Claire who'd flown in from Boston. Brianna emerged from the dressing room in her gown and everyone gasped. It was beautiful. She was beautiful. The dress fit like it had been designed specifically for her body, and maybe it had been. What do you think? She turned slowly, the fabric catching the light. Stunning, my mother said, her voice thick. My son is the luckiest man alive. I hope he thinks so. Brianna laughed and smoothed the skirt. Okay, your turn. Let's see those bridesmaid dresses. The consultant led me to a dressing room and handed me the pink gown. I undressed slowly, folding my clothes on the bench. The dress slid over my head and caught at my hips. I tugged it down, heard a seam strain. When I stepped out, Brianna's smile tightened slightly. Oh, she said. It's pulling a bit across the bust. Did you order the size I recommended? I ordered my usual size. Right, but I mentioned they run small. She turned to the consultant. Can we get this in the next size up? The consultant nodded and disappeared into the back. No worries, Brianna said brightly. Everyone's body is different. Some of us just carry weight in different places. My mother frowned at the dress. It does look a little snug, honey. I'll get the bigger size, I said. The consultant returned with the next dress. It fit better, though the neckline gaped slightly. Brianna walked around me, assessing. Much better. See? That's why I always say to size up. Better safe than sorry. She adjusted the strap on my shoulder. We'll get it altered to fit perfectly. You'll look great. Claire raised her champagne. To the bride and her gorgeous wedding party. Everyone drank. I held my glass but didn't sip. I need to ask you something, Brianna said, settling onto the sofa. The bachelorette party. Claire's planning it, but I want to make sure everyone's comfortable. We're thinking Vegas, 3 nights, pool parties during the day, clubs at night. Does that work for you? I'm not really a Vegas person, I said. Oh, Brianna glanced at Claire. Well, the other bridesmaids already booked their flights. I'd hate for you to miss it. I can probably make it work. Perfect. Claire will send you the details. It's going to be wild. She grinned. I haven't let loose like that since college. High school, actually. I was kind of a terror back then. My mother laughed. I'm sure you were just spirited. That's a nice way to put it. I definitely gave some people a hard time. She sipped her champagne. But that's what high school's for, right? Figuring out who you are, making mistakes. I'm sure I wasn't always the kindest person. You seem wonderful now, my mother said. That's what matters. You're sweet. Though I do think some people hold grudges forever. Like it was high school. Everyone needs to move on. She looked at me over the rim of her glass. Don't you think? Sure, I said. The consultant called Brianna back for final measurements, and I changed out of the dress. When I returned to the sitting area, my mother was showing Claire photos on her phone. This is from when they got engaged, she said. Look how happy they are. Claire cooed over the images. They're perfect together. I keep saying it's like a fairy tale. Already? My mother looked disappointed. We were going to get lunch. I can't today. Brianna reappeared back in her street clothes. Leaving so soon, we barely got to catch up. I'll see you at the shower, I said. Right, the shower. Don't forget about those decorations. I'm counting on you. I nodded and walked out before anyone could say anything else. The shower was 3 weeks later, held at a country club my mother's friend had booked. 50 women packed into a sunlit room with floral centerpieces and pastel balloons. I arrived early to set up the decorations I'd spent 2 nights assembling, paper flowers and ribbon banners that spelled out bride-to-be in looping script. Brianna arrived in a white sundress, a sash across her chest that said, Future Mrs. She hugged everyone, posed for photos, opened gifts with practiced enthusiasm. This is gorgeous, she said, holding up a set of monogram towels. Thank you so much. The gifts kept coming. Kitchen gadgets, picture frames, a weekend getaway voucher. She thanked each person by name, made jokes about my brother's inability to cook, laughed at all the right moments. When she opened my gift, a set of wine glasses, she held them up to the light. These are lovely, very practical. She smiled at me. You always know exactly what to get. After the gifts, we played games. Bridal bingo, trivia about the couple, a contest to see who could make the best wedding dress out of toilet paper. Brianna's aunt won. Everyone clapped. Then Brianna stood and raised her mimosa. I just want to say thank you to everyone here. You've made this whole process so special. Her voice caught. I never had a big family growing up. My parents weren't really around. So this, all of you, it means everything. Women dabbed at their eyes. My mother reached over and squeezed my hand. I know I'm marrying into this family, Brianna continued, but it already feels like home, especially with my future sister-in-law. She gestured toward me. She's been so helpful, so supportive, even though I know she's probably heard enough about weddings to last a lifetime. Laughter rippled through the room. But seriously, thank you for putting up with me. I can be a lot. Just ask anyone who knew me in high school. She grinned. I had a reputation for making quiet girls into legends, not always in a good way. More laughter. A few women nodded knowingly, like they'd been those girls themselves once. But we all grow up, right? We learn to be better. She looked directly at me. And the people who matter forgive us for who we used to be. Everyone raised their glasses. I lifted mine but didn't drink. The rehearsal dinner was held at an Italian restaurant my brother loved. The private room was warm and loud, filled with both families and the wedding party. I sat near the end of the table, between my cousin and one of my brother's college friends. Brianna wore a navy dress and heels that made her taller than my brother when she stood. She'd had her hair done, soft curls that framed her face perfectly. My brother couldn't stop looking at her. The food came in waves. Antipasto, pasta, chicken marsala. Wine flowed freely. People told stories about my brother, about Brianna, about how they met at a mutual friend's barbecue and talked for 6 hours straight. We knew right away, my brother said, his arm around her shoulders. It was like finding someone I'd been looking for my whole life. Cheesy, one of his groomsmen called out. True though, Brianna said, kissing his cheek. After dessert, the toasts began. My father went first, welcoming Brianna into the family. Then Brianna's maid of honor, Claire, told a story about a road trip they'd taken in college. One of the groomsmen talked about my brother's terrible taste in music. Then Brianna stood, glass in hand. I'm not supposed to give a toast at my own rehearsal dinner, she said, but I have a few things I want to say. The room quieted. Tomorrow I'm marrying the love of my life, someone who sees the best in me, even when I don't see it myself. She looked at my brother. You make me want to be better, kinder, more patient. He smiled up at her, his eyes soft. A few people shifted uncomfortably. The room felt smaller suddenly. But that's the thing about growing up, she continued. You get to leave that person behind, reinvent yourself, become who you're supposed to be. She took a sip of wine. And honestly, some of those people probably needed thicker skin anyway. High school is brutal for everyone. She laughed lightly. A few people joined in, uncertain. But anyway, I'm grateful for second chances. For families that accept you even when they don't know your whole story. Her eyes found mine across the table. For sisters who are willing to let the past stay in the past. My throat closed. The room tilted slightly. So here's to tomorrow, Brianna said, raising her glass higher. To new beginnings. To leaving old versions of ourselves behind. To becoming legends for all the right reasons. Everyone drank. Glasses clinked. Conversations resumed. I set my glass down carefully and stood. The room swam. I walked toward the bathroom, moving slowly so I wouldn't stumble. My brother caught my arm. Hey, you okay? I'm fine. You look pale. Just need some air. He studied my face, and something in his expression changed. What's wrong? Nothing. You're crying. I touched my cheek. It was wet. I hadn't realized. Talk to me, he said quietly. The noise of the party faded behind us. Not here. Then where? I pulled my arm free and walked out of the restaurant. The evening air was cool and sharp. I stood on the sidewalk trying to breathe normally. My brother followed. What happened in there? Ask your fiancé. I'm asking you. A car passed, its headlights sweeping over us. She knows, I said. She's always known. Known what? I looked at him. My brother. The person who taught me to ride a bike and scared away the kids who called me names in elementary school. The person who had no idea what tomorrow would cost. I need to show you something, I said. But not tonight. Why not tonight? Because tomorrow is your wedding and I don't want to ruin it. You're scaring me. Good, I said. You should be scared. He stared at me, and for the first time, I saw doubt flicker across his face. Not in me, in something else. Something he couldn't name yet. Inside, laughter erupted. Someone called his name. Yeah, will you come back inside? In a minute, he hesitated, then walked back toward the restaurant. At the door, he turned and looked at me one more time before disappearing inside. I stood there until I stopped shaking. Then I got in my car and drove home, the rehearsal dinner still going without me. I sat in my car outside my apartment for 20 minutes before going inside. The steering wheel left marks on my palms. When I finally walked through the door, I dropped my keys twice trying to unlock it. The yearbook was exactly where I'd left it, tucked between 2 textbooks on the shelf above my desk. I pulled it down and flipped to the pages I'd marked with sticky notes years ago, back when I thought maybe someday I'd need proof that it had actually happened, that I hadn't imagined it. The signatures were still there. Sorry we didn't stand up for you. You deserved better. What she did at the mall was cruel. I wish I'd said something. Page after page of apologies from people who'd watched and done nothing, their guilt preserved in blue ink. I closed the book and held it against my chest. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother asking if I was feeling better, if I'd eaten anything. I didn't respond. Another buzz, my brother this time. Can we talk? I typed back. Tomorrow morning, your place. Why not now? Because you need to sleep tonight. 3 dots appeared and disappeared, then nothing. I set an alarm for 7 and lay down fully clothed on top of the covers. Sleep didn't come. I watched the ceiling fan turn in slow circles, counting rotations until the numbers stopped meaning anything. My brother lived 15 minutes away in a townhouse he'd bought 2 years ago. I'd helped him move in, spent a weekend painting the living room a shade of gray he'd agonized over for weeks. Brianna's Brianna's things were everywhere now. Her shoes by the door, her jacket on the hook, her coffee mug in the sink. I knocked instead of using my key. He opened the door in sweatpants and an old college shirt, his hair sticking up on one side. You look terrible. So do you. Couldn't sleep. He stepped back to let me in. Brianna's at the hotel with her bridesmaids. Getting ready early, I guess. She left around 6. Good. He looked at the yearbook in my hands. Is that what you wanted to show me? Yeah. We sat at his kitchen table, the same one we'd eaten breakfast at as kids before our parents upgraded. He'd taken it when they remodeled. Coffee mugs still left rings on the surface, no matter how many coasters you used. I set the yearbook between us. This is from senior year, I said. My senior year. You were already in college. I remember. Do you remember me calling you that spring? Asking if I could come visit for a weekend? He frowned, thinking back. Vaguely. You said you needed to get away. I told you I was stressed about finals. That wasn't true. Okay. I was being bullied. Every day. By the same girl. I opened the yearbook to a candid photo from the spring formal. Brianna stood in the center of a group, her head thrown back laughing, surrounded by girls in pastel dresses. By her. He leaned forward and studied the photo. His face went very still. That's Brianna. Yes. You went to high school together. He sat back. She said she didn't remember you. When I first brought her to meet the family, she acted like you were strangers. She remembers. How do you know? Because she's been reminding me the entire time. I flipped to the pages with signatures. Read these. He pulled the book closer and started at the top. His eyes moved slowly across each line, his expression changing with every apology, every confession. When he reached the bottom of the first page, he turned to the next. Then, the next. What did she do? His voice came out rough. A lot of things. Small stuff at first. She'd knock my books off my desk, trip me in the hallway, make comments about my clothes loud enough for everyone to hear. Then it got worse. How much worse? She spread a rumor that I'd tried to hook up with her boyfriend at a party I never went to. She stole my gym clothes and hung them from the flagpole. She convinced half the senior class I was bulimic because I ate lunch in the library. I paused. And then there was the modeling thing. What modeling thing? She set me up. She'd told everyone it was happening. 20 kids from school showed up to watch me stand there with my portfolio. I'd made it the night before, printed photos from my phone, arranged them in a binder I'd bought specifically for the occasion. They recorded it, posted it online. The comments were worse than the actual standing there. My brother's jaw tightened. He turned another page. These are from people who saw it happen, I said. People who knew what she was doing and didn't stop her. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were 3 hours away dealing with your own life. Because I was embarrassed. Because I thought if I ignored her long enough, she'd get bored and move on. I traced the edge of the table with my finger. She didn't. What else did she do? Do you really want to know? She started a group chat called Charity Cases and added me to it. Everyone in it was someone she'd decided needed improvement. She'd post our photos and let people comment on what was wrong with us. Hair, clothes, weight, personality. I was on there for 2 months before someone told me about it and I got myself removed. He closed the yearbook. I'm going to be sick. There's more. I don't want to hear more. You need to. He stood and walked to the sink, gripping the edge with both hands. His shoulders rose and fell. When he turned around, his eyes were red. She ruined my senior year, I said. I stopped going to dances, stopped trying out for things. I ate lunch alone and left campus the second the bell rang because I didn't want to risk running into her. I had panic attacks before school. Mom thought it was college stress. I looked down at my hands. And when I finally graduated and left for school, I thought I was free, that I'd never have to see her again. And then I brought her home. And then you brought her home. He sat back down heavily. She told me she grew up 2 towns over. She never mentioned your high school. She lied. She said she didn't have many friends growing up, that she was kind of a loner. She had plenty of friends, they just enabled her. He picked up the yearbook again and flipped to a page near the end. His face changed. What? I asked. He turned the book toward me. Someone had written in large letters across the bottom margin, Brianna Caldwell is a monster and everyone knows it. I didn't write that, I said. I know. Your handwriting's different. He stared at it. But someone else thought it too. A lot of people thought it. They just didn't do anything about it. He closed the book and pushed it away like it might burn him. Why didn't you say something sooner? Before I proposed? Before we set a date? Because I didn't think you'd believe me. Because she spent months making herself look perfect to you and your family. Because every time I tried to bring up the past, she twisted it into a joke or a lesson about forgiveness. I met his eyes. And because I didn't want to be the person who ruined your happiness over something that happened in high school, it's not just high school if she's still doing it. What? The comments? The little digs? They've been happening this whole time, haven't they? At dress fittings? At dinners? At the shower? He ran his hands through his hair. I thought you two just didn't click. I didn't realize she was targeting you. She's been careful. Nothing obvious enough to call out. Just enough to remind me that she won. Won what? Everything. She got to move on and reinvent herself and pretend high school never happened. And I'm still the same scared girl who got tricked into humiliating herself at the mall. No, you're not. Stop. His voice was sharp. None of this is your fault. Then whose fault is it? Hers. He stood again and paced to the window. Outside, neighbors were getting into cars, starting their Saturday routines. Normal people doing normal things. The wedding's in 8 hours. I know. Everyone's already at the venue. The flowers are set up. The caterer's prepping food. Mom's going to lose her mind. Probably. He turned to face me. Did you bring this to me because you wanted me to call it off? I brought it to you because you deserve to know who you're marrying. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. He walked back to the table and picked up the yearbook. Held it like it weighed 100 pounds. I love her, he said quietly. Or I thought I did. Now I don't know if I ever really knew her at all. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. He looked at the clock on the wall. 7:43. I need to think. Can you leave this with me? I nodded. It's yours. He walked me to the door. Before I left, he pulled me into a hug, tight and desperate, like he was holding on to the only solid thing left. I'm sorry I didn't protect you, he whispered. You didn't know. I pulled back and looked at him. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. Even if I go through with it, the question hung between us. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to be the bigger person, the forgiving sister, the one who could let go of the past for the sake of his future. No, I said, I can't watch you marry her, I'm sorry. He nodded slowly. I understand. I left him standing in the doorway, the yearbook still in his hands, and drove home as the sun moon climbed higher in the sky. I stayed in my apartment the rest of the morning, turned my phone to silent, and watched notifications pile up on the screen without reading them. Mom called 4 times. 2 bridesmaids texted asking where I was. A cousin sent a photo of the venue with heart emojis. I deleted them all. At noon, I made toast and couldn't eat it. At 1, I tried to read and gave up after the same paragraph 3 times. At 2, I stood in front of my closet staring at the dress I was supposed to wear, pale blue and hanging in plastic like evidence. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. Be there at 3, need you there. My brother. I typed back, I can't, please. I stared at the word until the screen went dark. Picked up the phone and called him. He answered on the first ring. Thank you. I haven't said yes. You called. That's close enough. Background noise filtered through, voices and music and the hollow echo of a large room. I'm at the venue. Everything's ready. Chairs filled, flowers everywhere. Brianna's in the bridal suite doing final touches. Then why do you need me? Because I'm about to do something that's going to hurt a lot of people and I need to know someone's in that room who understands why. My chest tightened. You're calling it off. I'm calling it off. When? During the vows. His voice stayed level, almost calm. She needs to hear it in front of everyone. Needs to feel what you felt. That's not why I told you. I know, but it's what needs to happen. He paused. Will you come? I looked at the dress again. Yeah, I'll come. Back entrance, I'll have someone meet you. He hung up before I could change my mind. I showered and put on the dress and fixed my hair the way the bridesmaids had planned weeks ago during a fitting I'd sat through with my jaw clenched. Applied makeup carefully, hands steadier than they should have been. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone who could walk into a room and pretend everything was fine. I'd had a lot of practice. The venue was a restored barn 20 minutes outside town, all exposed beams and string lights and mason jars on every table. Cars packed the lot. I parked in the back and texted my brother. A side door opened and a groomsman I recognized from college waved me over. He looked confused but didn't ask questions, just led me through a hallway that smelled like lilies and into the main space through a door behind the last row of chairs. The room was full, 200 people at least, dressed in pastels and summer suits, fanning themselves with programs. Late afternoon sun poured through tall windows. A string quartet played something soft and forgettable. At the front, an arch wrapped in white roses framed an empty space where soon 2 people would stand and make promises. I slipped into an aisle seat in the second to last row. An elderly woman next to me smiled. Beautiful, isn't it? Yes. Are you bride or groom? Groom. Such a lovely couple. They look so happy together. I didn't respond. The music shifted. Everyone stood. The bridesmaids entered first. 6 of them in champagne-colored dresses, each one holding a small bouquet. They took their places on the left side of the arch. Then the groomsmen, my brother's college friends and a cousin, lining up opposite. The music swelled. The bride appeared at the far end of the aisle on her father's arm. She looked perfect. White dress with delicate lace sleeves, hair swept up with small flowers tucked into the twist, makeup highlighting features that had always been sharp and pretty. She smiled at the guests as she passed, acknowledging people with tiny nods, soaking in the attention. When she reached the front, her father kissed her cheek and placed her hand in my brother's. They turned to face the officiant, a family friend who'd known my brother since childhood. I watched her profile, the same angle I'd seen in hallways, across cafeteria tables, in the rearview mirror of my car when she'd followed me home once to make sure I knew she knew where I lived. The officiant began. Standard opening about love and commitment and the joining of 2 families. People shifted in their seats. Someone's phone buzzed and was quickly silenced. Marriage is a sacred bond, the officiant continued, built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Brianna's smile didn't waver. Today, we gather to witness the union of Brianna and Connor, 2 people who have chosen to walk through life together, supporting each other through joy and hardship. My brother's jaw tightened. He was looking at Brianna, but his expression was unreadable. If anyone here knows of any reason why these 2 should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. The traditional pause that no one ever fills. The officiant nodded and opened his booklet. Connor, please face your bride. My brother turned to Brianna. She beamed at him, eyes bright, hands clasped in his. Connor, do you take Brianna to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? He looked at her for a long moment. The room held its breath. No. The word dropped like a stone. Brianna's smile froze. What? I can't do this. His voice carried across the room, quiet but clear. I'm sorry. Murmurs erupted. The officiant stepped back. The bridesmaids exchanged glances. Connor. Brianna's voice was low, urgent. What are you doing? Stop. Brianna reached for his arm. He stepped away. My sister's here today. Most of you know her. Some of you watched her grow up. He scanned the crowd and found me. Our eyes met. She didn't want to come. I had to beg her. And the reason she didn't want to be here is because the woman standing next to me made her high school years a living nightmare. Gasps, whispers, heads turning to locate me. Brianna's face went pale. That's not true. It is true. My brother's voice stayed steady. She bullied my sister relentlessly, mocked her clothes, spread rumors, orchestrated public humiliation. She convinced half their senior class to show up and watch my sister get tricked into thinking she'd been selected for a modeling opportunity that didn't exist. Someone in the 3rd row said, oh my god. She created a group chat dedicated to tearing down girls she decided weren't good enough. She stole my sister's belongings and displayed them for entertainment. She made her afraid to go to school. He turned back to Brianna. And when I brought you home to meet my family, you pretended you didn't remember her? I didn't remember. Brianna's voice rose. It was high school. People change. I changed. You remembered. You've been reminding her this entire time with little comments and jokes, needling her at every opportunity while making sure it looked innocent to everyone else. That's ridiculous. She's making things up because she's jealous. She has a yearbook full of apologies from classmates who watched you torture her and did nothing. I read every single one. one last night. He looked at the guests again. My sister brought me evidence yesterday morning, proof of what happened. And instead of telling me sooner, she kept quiet because she didn't want to ruin my happiness. My mother stood up 3 rows ahead. Her face was stricken. Connor, what are you saying? I'm saying I can't marry someone who hurt my sister and never apologized, who pretended it didn't happen, who's still the same person she was back then, just better at hiding it. I'm not that person anymore. Brianna's composure was cracking, her voice taking on a desperate edge. I was a kid. I made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting someone's birthday or saying something thoughtless. What you did was calculated and cruel. You targeted someone vulnerable and made her life miserable for your own entertainment. The room was completely silent now. Even the quartet had stopped playing. You don't understand. Brianna turned to the guests, appealing to them directly. High school was complicated. There were social dynamics. I wasn't the only one who— Don't. My brother's voice cut through. Don't try to spread the blame. Own what you did. I don't have to stand here and listen to this. She gathered her dress and started to walk past him. Then leave. But everyone here deserves to know who they came to celebrate. She stopped, turned back. Her eyes found me in the crowd, and for a second, I saw the same look she'd given me in the hallway before knocking my books off my desk. Cold calculation. Fine. Her voice went hard. You want the truth? She was an easy target. Quiet, awkward, dressed like she shopped at thrift stores. She made it easy. Someone gasped. My mother's hand went to her mouth. She never fought back. Never stood up for herself. Just took it and took it like she thought she deserved it. Brianna's mask was fully gone now, her face twisting into something ugly. And yeah, maybe I went too far sometimes, but she could have said something. Could have told a teacher or her parents or done literally anything besides hiding. She was 17 and terrified. My brother's voice shook. You made her terrified. I made her realistic. The world isn't kind to people who can't handle criticism. That wasn't criticism, that was abuse. Brianna laughed. Actually laughed. Abuse. You're calling high school drama abuse. Grow up. I am growing up. Right now. By refusing to marry someone who thinks cruelty is justified. She stared at him. You're serious? You're actually doing this? Because of her? She pointed at me. Because your pathetic sister couldn't let go of the past. My mother moved into the aisle. That's enough. No, it's not enough. Brianna's voice rang out. I've spent 6 months pretending to like her, smiling through dinners and showers and fittings while she sat there judging me, acting like she's so much better than everyone else. She never said a word against you. My brother stepped closer. Not once. She kept quiet and tried to be happy for me even though every family gathering reopened wounds you gave her. Then she's weak. The words hung in the air. My brother looked at her like he was seeing a stranger. Get out. What? Leave? Now, this wedding is over. You can't kick me out of my own wedding. It's not your wedding anymore. It's just an expensive mistake. He turned to the officiant. We're done here. The officiant nodded mutely. Brianna looked around the room, searching for support. Her bridesmaids avoided her eyes. Her father sat frozen in the front row. Guests stared at their laps or whispered to each other behind their hands. Fine. She gathered her dress again. Keep your broken family and your damaged sister. You deserve each other. She walked down the aisle, heels clicking on the wooden floor. No one moved. When she reached the doors, she shoved them open hard enough that they banged against the walls. The silence after she left was deafening. My brother turned to the guests. I'm sorry you all came here for nothing. The reception hall is paid for and the food's ready. Please stay, eat, celebrate that I dodged something that would have destroyed my life. His voice cracked. And if anyone has a problem with what just happened, you can leave too. No one moved. He walked down the aisle toward me. People shifted to let him through. When he reached my row, I stood. You okay? He asked. I nodded, not trusting my voice. He pulled me into a hug. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You see it now. That's what matters. My mother appeared beside us, tears streaming down her face. Sweetheart, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me? I thought I could handle it. She wrapped her arms around both of us. You shouldn't have had to. The groomsmen started ushering people toward the reception hall. The quartet began playing again, something lighter this time. Slowly, the room emptied, guests filing out with shocked expressions and hushed conversations. My brother pulled back and looked at me. Thank you. For what? For being brave enough to tell me. For coming today even though you didn't want to. He wiped his eyes. For being my sister. Always. We walked out together into the late afternoon sun. Behind us, the venue staff was already dismantling the arch, removing the roses, erasing the evidence that a wedding had almost happened. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. You ruined my life. I deleted it without responding. My brother saw my expression. Her? Doesn't matter. Block her. I did. We stood in the parking lot as guests filtered past, some offering apologies, others congratulations, a few looking at me with something like recognition. Maybe they'd been there that day at the mall. Maybe they'd seen the videos. Maybe they'd written in my yearbook and never expected their words to matter. What now? I asked. Now we go eat overpriced chicken and pretend this was the plan all along. He managed a weak smile. And then I figure out how to explain to everyone that I almost married a monster. You didn't know. You know now. That's what counts. We walked toward the reception hall together, leaving the barn and its empty arch behind. Somewhere in the distance, a car engine started and tires squealed on gravel. I didn't look back. The reception hall was louder than any wedding celebration I'd ever attended. No speeches planned, no first dance, just people eating and drinking and processing what they'd witnessed. My brother sat at the head table that was supposed to hold 2, picking at salmon he wasn't eating. I found a corner table near the windows. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years sat down across from me. I was there, she said quietly. At the mall that day. I didn't do anything to stop it. I know. I'm sorry. Thank you. She nodded and left. Others approached throughout the evening. Some apologized. Some asked questions I didn't answer. One of Brianna's bridesmaids stopped by to say she'd suspected something was off, but couldn't place it until today. I listened to all of them without judgment. Their guilt wasn't mine to carry anymore. Around 8, my brother appeared beside me. Want to get out of here? Yes. We slipped out the side door into the parking lot. The sun had set, leaving the sky purple and orange. Crickets sang in the grass beyond the gravel. You going to be okay? I asked. Eventually, he leaned against his car. You? Yeah, I think I already am. He looked at me, really looked, and smiled. You seem different? I feel different. We stood there as cars started leaving, headlights sweeping across the lot. My mother waved from the entrance, but didn't call us back inside. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the blocked numbers. One tap and Brianna's contact disappeared completely. My brother watched. Feel good? Feels finished. We got in our cars and drove home separately. I took the long route, windows down, radio off. When I passed my old high school, I didn't look at it. I didn't need to anymore.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.